Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdicus Ryan, and today I'm joined by
Eric's Dave.
Nathan Nerdark.
And today we're putting the hobo back in Murderhobo.
Jump down the description below where you can find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, game weekly tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we want to talk about the idea, a Dungeon Master tip about how to keep your adventurers in any sort of way, shape, or form that they'd want to continue adventuring. Because adventuring is horrendously dangerous. Who is going to go out there and try to be potentially murdered by goblins, flattened by Tarrasques, all kinds of awful things, spells going awry, barbecued, having your gender changed. Yeah, all these things that could happen.
Adrenaline junkies.
Adrenaline jumpers. But so we want to talk about the idea of how do you incentivize people to keep adventuring? One way to do that is to keep them poor.
And there's actually like two different ways of doing that.
Yeah.
One is you just don't give them any money.
Right.
Hence they're poor. The other one is you have to find ways to drain their resources.
Money sinks.
Give them interesting things to spend their money on.
Yeah.
Maybe like a sick ant or something.
Yeah. Or addicted ant or something. Yeah.
Or a sick addicted ant.
Yeah.
Well, there are some backstories that they not in fifth edition, but story elements where you're starting off with a debt you owe somebody, whether it's figurative and it's like, oh, I just want to pay them back in some way, and like, oh, I found this cool treasure, I'll give that to them, or you're like more like Han Solo-esque and you owe somebody a wad of cash and you're like, oh, where am I going to get this from?
Yeah, now as a player, you could take on this as yourself. Like you could take a background, or the party could even decide this. Like they're a group of refugees, so you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you're trying to fund like the reestablishment of a nation, or maybe you're a religious-oriented character, say a paladin or a cleric, and maybe you're like funding an orphanage that from the land you're from, or something like that.
I'm just envisioning Sally Struthers right now.
Yeah.
And for just a couple copper pieces a day.
You can support this poor child.
So going along that vein, yeah, you could absolutely have a structure where there's an organization that you're beholden to, whether by choice or obligation, and you basically tie to them or have dues to pay. Matter of fact, the one background, the guild master guild artisan, actually has that built right into it, and you're supposed to get like loyal or legal representation and stuff in return. But I don't think anyone really enforces it.
Yeah, no, that would be fun to have, just like the courtroom trial for your legal representation. Maybe something goes faulty with your creation as a guild artist, and you get sued. So that's a way they drain. That's definitely a way they drain.
This is
drain
copyright.
resources.
I've already made this.
Yeah.
I want more of your money.
Or just the wagon wheel falls off that you crafted, that you coopered.
Now we did actually have a trial come up in one of our games, but unfortunately my character did not have no representation, and he had to represent himself. Yeah. And you know what they say about representing yourself?
Only an idiot or a fool. Yeah.
Yes. Also along those veins too, we do have a whole series, guys, and I'll put it in. It's in the card here. Or there, or wherever it shows up. But in the card will be our playlist of what to spend your loot on. So this way we do actually have a bunch of ideas for cool and interesting things to drain the resources of your players that actually might give them some kind of benefits in game and be fun for them.
Yeah, but yeah, you can have things like taxes and levies. You could have emergencies that, like, maybe it's not necessarily something that they need to go be heroic and fight, but it's just like, yeah, you want to know what solves this problem? Money. And you know who has money? They do. Like, so you could have like church people come, and actually that's great. The church is like, there's so many starving and suffering people, and meanwhile they have like these like gold necklaces
like
and all this jewelry.
Mr. T and out.
Yeah, they have all this jewelry and they're like corpulent. See, I mean, the children, they need your money, and the people that are less fortunate than you, yeah.
That is definitely a way to go. I remember one of my very first Dungeon Masters, Steve. Not the Steve we always talk about. This Dungeon Master was awesome. Other Steve was awesome in his own way, but this DM was awesome all the way around. But one of the things he would do is, you would roll into town and you'd have to pay taxes. Yeah. Like as soon as you got there at the gate, like, oh, you got weapons? That's a tax. Oh, you just came from so-and-so dungeon? Yeah, there's a tax for that.
I mean, toll roads were a thing, yes. Like that people would pay tolls to go across bridges. There's guards that probably run the security of a road, so you'd pay to go through that. as well. And actually, you guys did a video with Scott way back when. That's another thing that they could encounter.
Yes. Funny enough, the term turnpike comes from the fact that guards would guard the road and they would have pikes, and the pike would be down, and in order for you to get through, you'd have to pay the tax or the tariff, and they would turn the pike so that you could get through.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's actually factual or not, but I'm going to go with it.
Sounds good for me. All the proper words are there in the right order, so there we go. You could also have it where they're kind of cash poor to begin with, and they just never get out of it. Like maybe they're returned soldiers, and the economy's really bad, so they're like, well, we could be bandits, or we could like get the scraps and money for hunting bandits. So it's kind of this.
They could very easily go either way.
Yeah, which way are they going to be on? Are they going to mercenary getting the bandits, or are they going to get faster cash by taking over wagon caravans and things?
Yeah. Well, and also too, like, so piles. If we wanted to go, because it sounds like we're steering towards a much grittier and realistic game, right? So the piles of treasure that's often accumulated by wandering monstrous humanoids, right? That treasure usually belongs to someone. Like, somebody owns that. So, and there might be minting on the nation that comes in. There's probably like a manifest saying where this thing came from, and that wagon didn't make its way to where it was supposed to go. So eventually, somebody's gonna come looking for that money. And who has it but your player characters?
Not only that, a perfect example of this, both in literature and more recently in movies, is The Hobbit, right? What happens at the end? Well, it's not so much that the gold didn't belong to other people, but the dragon Smaug caused all these problems, and everyone else saying, well, dwarves, it's your fault. You woke up the dragon. You collected all this gold that he wanted. So really, you owe us compensation.
It's reparations.
Yeah.
Reparations
for causing us causing the blight on the land. And that could very well be it. Like they conquer this big villain or monster or whatever, and then everyone starts crawling out of the woodwork going, well, that was ours, or these bandits caused all these problems and we should be repaid for our hardships.
Yeah, and I would bring another literary example to bear, and this is again more sort of the player's choice if they wanted to do this, but Fafhrod and the Grey Mouser from Franz Lieber. So basically, those characters would literally piss away all of their money all the time. So that was a great thing. Of like they would go carousing basically. Like they at the end of every adventure, every day they would be rolling on that carousing table and something would be happening.
Are you sure you're not talking about my recent campaign with the Gobbleos?
That was also would be the thing that they would do.
Literally, those players actually go, just assume we're always broke because we're always high and we spent all of our money, especially if it's not actually gold, it's just gone.
Yeah.
Anthony's like, I'm not even recording this because Pickle Dick is going to literally roll this up and smoke it in a pipe, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Well, and actually, that was the same thing too with my paladin of the Beggar King. Like his whole idea was he's pretty much going to drink away or give away all of his wealth. So it's like I told you as the dungeon master, I was like, yeah, if you want my character to ever have any gear upgrades, you got to put it in the campaign because he's not going to save up to buy it ever. It's just not going to happen. So like I did manage to like have him start with a nice suit of armor. Like I pawned all my stuff to start with splint mail, essentially, but because I knew I'm not gonna get any upgrades, I'm not gonna save for it. So like in backstory, like this was the armor that he wore when he was like a proper soldier, and like he has it from those good old days, but now he's not doing so good.
Even the campaign I'm currently running, I don't think I really started giving you guys any significant amount of gold or treasure until you guys hit like 7th to 9th level.
Yeah.
Before then, it's always been kind of like silver pieces, copper pieces.
Yeah, and with Falcor in that game, like he's got this nebulous amount of like home furnishing stuff that he's spending his money on. So like he is pretty much the prissy like. Why is he really going into danger? But yeah, I want to play the game.
I don't know about all of the rest of the characters, but in Ted's game, we get a lot of money, but I spend it. I'm always spending it on. Like I've got plans for what to do with it, so I feel kind of poor even if I've got all this stuff around me.
Well, here's the thing with that game, especially early on. I bought plate mail on a plate payment plan.
Yeah.
So I was literally getting my gold and giving it to the blacksmith until I eventually could afford to buy it itself. And then I've also spent a lot of money on making gifts for other people as well in that campaign, which is kind of fun. So he's usually fairly broke as well. And of course, every time he goes back to Crathon Gulch, he gets a special bro. So he's got to have money for that.
Yeah, you got to have the character.
So he's got his own built-in money sinks as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think the more development you do on your backstory, and the more you want to be interactive with the world, the more you're going to find places to put that money in.
Yeah.
So the other thing, speaking to what you said, like giving the characters reason to adventure. I don't know if it fits in this video or not, but one of the aspects is for gold, for treasure, because you're poor all the time, so they're constantly going out there trying to earn a living. But some characters also might just have other reasons. Like Uthengar is a good example of his mission is actually to experience as much of the world as possible, to seek out magical secrets that he can bring back to his clan, to his hold. So you can do things like that as well.
Yeah, well, and especially any sort of arcane character that's looking to go out, seek out knowledge, and collect it, and transcribe it. Also, a good motivation to keep that character. The character's curiosity is what keeps them out and adventuring. If you're the sort of folk hero one, it's kind of the prove your worth and do these grand deeds. So there are some things beyond mere money to keep people going.
Also, kind of like a modern day correlation is. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that'll work 80 to 100 hours a week just so they don't have to do a 40-hour-a-week job, right? So, there could definitely be that mentality, like, layman's work is beneath your character. So you're constantly doing this crazy stuff that sane people probably wouldn't do.
Yeah. Well, and the other crazy thing about entrepreneurs is they can they'll build a really awesome, successful business, sell it off, and then go and start another business from scratch, even though they've just made millions of dollars. So there is crazy correlations of you probably never would need to work another day in your life if you so chose. You could just buy a small island and. So
sometimes adventurers are like entrepreneurs, where they just have an itch that they have to constantly scratch, and they have no choice. Yeah. You guys, let us know why you adventure down in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check out the articles over at nerdarchy.com.
You can also patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.